Yeah.
I know, like in the UK, it seems like every city has a bat group. I think
Yeah.
they're
Mhm.
up to like 80 or 90 now. So it's so much a part of the culture there. So is that really a challenge for you that there aren't a lot of other bat groups that you can kind of draw from or connect with?
We have made a lot of really wonderful connections with a lot of bat organizations. I don't want to make it
Nice.
seem like we're the only people out here doing this
Right,
work
right,
because
right.
it's so far from it, just in
Yeah,
comparison to other, you know, uh, species of concern. It feels
yeah,
like it's a small group.
definitely.
Um,
Definitely.
we're seeing more. There are some more groups popping up in our area that seem to
Oh,
be
cool.
Mhm.
working to advocate for bats, which is amazing and wonderful to see. And uh, there's other parts of of this country that are much more engaged with the bats, particularly in the South. Texas, as we know,
Yeah,
huge hub for bats, but also for bat conservation.
yeah.
So there's other parts of the country that are much more, in my opinion, have been much more engaged with bats for a longer time than up here. So I think we're trying to catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
I
I'm
think I'm a
I
big
was just going to say I'm in the Midwest in the Chicagoland
Yeah.
area, and
Mhm.
I encounter the same thing, that up north, there isn't quite as much active bat conservation going on. I mean, there is with the
Yeah.
biologists, but as far as community groups, and I see the same thing that it's much more active in the South, and I imagine it's because the bats are active year round there. In the north, we've got a little bit of a challenge. Winter's
Mhm.
pretty quiet,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think it's a lot easier for the southern groups to keep more momentum since they can go on bat walks year round and really have more access
Absolutely.
to bats.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think also just like, I mean, shout out to Merlin Tuttle and
Oh yeah,
the sort of the branding of bats that they've rebranding that they've so successfully done.
yeah,
Um, making it into this sort of this beloved tourist attraction. We don't
yeah,
have anything like that
yeah, yeah.
here. Um, that's reaching people on like a larger scale.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do believe that like energy begets
Yeah.
energy and that
Oh
like
yeah,
the more that we hold like public programming and we host bat walks and we like do talks at parks and do presentation about like all the research that we're doing and we host
Mhm.
citizen science events for people to come out and like
Oh,
play
very
with all
cool.
the cool gadgets and like get bat
Oh neat.
recordings and stuff. Like the more we do that, the larger the groups are becoming
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we'll see like familiar faces and those few faces have like brought friends with them and a lot of
nice.
like inquiries for like well we saw you at this thing so like can we do another thing like
Oh
with
cool.
like the public library that I work at or with
Oh nice.
like this school that I work at and so
Oh great.
it's something that's becoming more and more like embraced
Mhm.
and hopefully like us kind of annoying everyone about bats for long enough will like create that kind be like a catalytic kind of thing to start
Yeah,
creating those little groups which I
yeah.
think which I think is kind of I don't want to like say like, oh, we're so cool, we're like making these cool things happen, but like we have friends who are very avid birders, for
Yeah.
example, who have like
Oh yeah,
very big and very successful like bird walks and like bird watching kind of like events that they do all the time, and
right.
they've started to regularly also do like bat walks, like
Oh
so
nice.
they'll go out like in the mornings and do like birding events, and then they'll go out in the evening sometimes and do birding events, and then stay out late and
Nice.
transition into doing bat stuff. And
Oh cool.
we did one of those with them one time, and there must have been like 350
Yeah.
people that showed
Oh
up.
my
It
gosh.
was like it
Wow.
was a huge group that showed up
Oh
of all of
wow.
us in Prospect Park in Brooklyn at the lake that
It
were
was
all
frankly too many people.
I
yeah.
was gonna say that's a little
It was an
overwhelming.
enormous amount of people and
Should have
like
capped
Wow.
it.
as a large group, we garnered a lot of attention. So as we were like kind of wandering through the park and like pointing at trees and have these tablets that are making all these crazy
Oh
sounds,
yeah, yeah.
like people came over and were like, "What are you guys doing?" And like we met a professor at Stony Brook University that way who was hanging out on like a hammock in the park, and we just happened to walk by, and he's like,
Oh
"What are you
gosh.
guys doing?"
Yeah, so
And
cool.
yeah, so it's hope our goal is to kind of like create what you're talking about,
Yeah.
like to get more
Very cool.
people to feel like a connection to bats and to like care about bats, to know more about like what they do and the role that they play and why they're so important, and kind of change the like mental imagery that I think most of us have when we think
Yeah.
about bats, from like pointy black like silhouette spooky vampire bats to like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fuzzy furry little like round and soft bats that like we actually have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um and and see more of these things like pop up would be like kind of the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you guys started working with birding groups. That's something I'm always encouraging people, especially if they don't have a bat group near them. Reach out to other groups, reach out to birding groups, reach out to astronomy groups. Anybody that
Yeah.
Mhm.
has interests that would overlap.
Yeah.
And try to partner. So I'm so glad to hear that a birding group is,
Yeah.
kind of crossing over and doing that.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Another good group to hook up with is Pollinator
Oh yeah,
Conservation.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
nice,
Tons
nice.
of
yeah.
overlap and interest there.
There's a lot of overlap in pollinator conservation and bat conservation.
Yeah.
And we've even worked with like wildflower preserves and
Yeah.
like
Oh, nice.
found like the overlap there because of their interest um in pest management. And
Yeah.
like in our part of the country, I'm not sure if you've heard about the spotted lanternfly. It is this like really weird, cool looking bug that got here from Asia in like
Yeah.
a shipping container, and they're really really pretty, but they're really really destructive. And
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a lot of concern surrounding them. But it turns out, because of all this like garnered interest in bats and like what do they eat, and like do they eat pests, and like what types of pests do they eat,
Yeah.
that Rutgers University has a PhD candidate who just released or started like talking about their thesis, which is a doing like DNA analysis on bat droppings, and
Oh
found that
yeah. Yeah.
bats are eating spotted lanternflies.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And
Oh,
so
that's
like
awesome.
yeah, there's like a starting to burgeon like natural like predator for spotted lanternflies,
Yeah.
which is good news because it's
Wow.
We need
yeah,
it.
yeah, we
Actually
need it because
taking out invasive species.
yeah,
Some more good
yeah.
PR for bats there.
Yeah.
Gosh, that is
Yeah.
really neat.
That's one of our like kind of like go-tos to kind of win people over that are like, kind of on the fence about bats,
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
mosquitoes, like if you're a gardener, beetles, and also spotted lanternflies, like they'll
Wow.
eat them.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I hadn't heard that yet. And we've got some of those spotted lanternflies are showing up in the Midwest too now.
Yeah.
So that's a good one to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Big brown
Brown
bats.
bats,
Big
right?
brown
Oh,
bats.
nice.
They're
Okay.
generalists, and they'll like
Yeah.
eat, pretty much anything and live almost anywhere. They're eating spotted lanternflies.
Awesome. Awesome. And for anybody that does live in the north and you think you can't really get in on the pollinator conservation aspect of bats because the bats up north aren't the kind of bats that are pollinators, that's Southwest mostly. You do still have that opportunity since you're helping the bugs that the bats eat. Certainly connect with your garden groups, even if you are in the north.
Yeah.
You can still help insectivorous bats by, having a healthy native garden, not using
Mhm.
pesticides and
Yeah.
chemicals. So,
Mhm.
definitely an avenue to seek out, even if you're in an area where you don't have bats that are pollinators.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And like if you're in urban areas, like some of like the unsung heroes of pollinator conservation and bat conservation are native trees, like
oh yeah,
old growth oak trees, maple trees, pine trees,
very
tupelos,
cool.
hickories. They're super important for bat species, particularly like on east of the Mississippi River.
Okay,
But they're also the host plants for like thousands of different types of caterpillars.
right,
So there's lots
right.
of butterfly and moth species that are daytime and nighttime pollinators that rely on the same trees.
Yeah.
And the flowering plants that those caterpillars and then like moths and butterflies will feed on at night are one of the main attractors of the bat species that are more equipped for hunting those particular insects.
Right.
So
Right.
like the if you want to encourage pollinators to like come into an area by planting like native trees and native plants, you will
Yep.
also be creating viable roosting habitat and forage habitat for bats as well as
Nice.
insects.
Nice. That's awesome. Um, you know what? I have to ask, since you did mention big brown bats, is there a bat you have that is your favorite?
Ooh, it
Yes,
changes all the time, but
not
Oh
for
yes.
yeah.
it doesn't change for me. I'm diehard big brown bats are my favorite bat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
They're
just are. They're always
they're
like
good. They're all good, but
they're all good, but we first of all they're very abundant in relatively speaking where we live. So
we
whenever
have
we
some
take
like right outside
yeah
our
we have some
house.
right outside our
Oh,
place. And when we take people out for bat walks, you can just kind of always count on the big brown bats coming around. I love that they're generalists, like little garbage trucks. I'm
Yeah.
very charmed
Very
by
New
them.
York
They're
attitude.
very New
yeah.
York to me. Yeah, they're very New
Yeah.
York to me. They're like, we're making it work, kid. We're making it
Yeah.
work. They always show up. They always, this is definitely totally me anthropomorphizing and like, this is very anecdotal, but they seem to have just like the spunkiest little personalities. I love
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just do. I love
Yeah.
them. Who's
I
your
like
favorite right now?
right now, I'm there's two that have been really speaking to me lately because I spent a lot of time like this summer listening to a lot of bat sounds and like trying to and putting together a lot of presentations, so looking at lots of like fuzzy pictures of bats
Yeah.
and silver hair bats and
Mm.
tricolor bats are like the two that kind of have me right now because like the silver hair bats they have this like very like punk rocky silver mohawk thing going on like on
That's
their
so
they have like
awesome.
very black fur with like silver like
Tips.
tips to their hair
Yeah. Yeah.
and a lot of the pictures that I've seen they have longer fur so it
Mhm.
kind of like mats in different directions and stuff
Yeah.
and so a lot of the pictures that I've seen of them they have like these like silver mohawk things going on down their whole back
That's
um
awesome.
So
and
cute.
tricolor bats, I think that just like the story of tricolor bats kind of like speaks to me a lot right now, that they're in this like limbo with their like protection status
Yeah.
because, you know, with white nose syndrome, bat species that are impacted by white nose syndrome are not doing good. And that's why the northern long-eared bat was recently put on the endangered species list. That's
Yeah.
why the Indiana bat is on the endangered species list. That is why the little brown bat and the tricolor bat are in the process of being listed.
Yeah.
Um, and right now, like the laws and everything at like a federal level that revolve around like protecting wildlife, things just like are in this really there's a lot of momentum and now we're in like this weird place where who knows what's going to happen and like it's going to kind of go maybe it's going to go backwards maybe it's going to like who knows and the little brown bat and the northern long-eared bat are kind of like smack in the middle of a lot of the like politics around endangered species law
Yeah. Yeah.
and and they're just little bats and I just like feel for them for that
Yeah.
reason I guess that
Yeah.
they're just like these little things just kind of doing what they do
They
and they're
don't
just
need
like
the
stuck in the middle of this
bureaucracy.
yeah this like big crazy you know hubbubaloo and
Yeah.
um they are they're also relatively I mean they're not common they're not doing well we don't see them all of the time
Yeah.
but we do see them pretty often
Tricolors?
tricolor bats
Yeah.
yeah tricolor
Nice.
bats we don't see them all the time but we do see them pretty often and when they do pop up it's like very exciting,
Yeah,
particularly
I'm
when we're
sure.
doing it with groups, because it's
Yeah.
like a really, really great like moment, like teachable moment of just like this place that like, this city park or whatever that like people, treat however they treat during the day and like,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. Like even with everything, even in the
Yeah.
middle of New York,
Yeah.
like this animal is here, like right now, that we just like
Yeah.
saw it, we just heard it, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
Um, and we really like the silver hair bats too. We see them all the time. I have a very distinct memory of when we went to Astoria Park. They have these two. There's like a in the park there's two bridges that go over the top, so there's like the Triborough Bridge and then there's a train track bridge, and
Okay.
there must have been silver-haired bats like living in the train track bridge somewhere,
Oh,
because we were there with our stuff one night and we saw like silver-haired bats come out of there and start like flying around, and it was very early in the season, and I think it was the first ones that we saw that
Yeah,
year. And
nice.
it was just
that's
like
always
a fun
exciting.
moment of just like, oh, they're finally back, and it was
Yeah.
Silverhair that were the first ones that we saw.
Nice.
So those ones are the
Nice.
ones that are speaking to me right now.
That's awesome.
But I do love all of them equally.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's very hard to choose.
Yeah.
It is hard. Honestly, it is. Those hoary bats, oof.
Yeah,
Easter
hoary
Oh,
bats
yeah.
are
bats.
really
Oh,
cute.
I don't
Yeah.
know. They're all really good.
Yeah.
Oh,
We have two cute Tuesday posts where we put up photos of two cute bats. And there are
Yeah.
so many that are so adorable. So
Yeah.
whenever people are telling me, oh, bats are whatever and they're creepy and
Yeah.
like, no, you have to look at a two cute Tuesday
yeah.
post. You just don't
Yeah.
understand. I'm like,
Yeah.
have you seen one up close? And they're
You
like,
know what's a
no. I'm like,
really good bat?
They
yeah,
have
no, look at this
photos.
picture. Look how freaking
Yeah.
cute they are.
There, there is like if we're talking about outside of like our area, like
Yeah.
on a global level, the
Yeah.
Honduran bats that are like the little white ones that live underneath
Oh
the
my
banana
God.
leaves.
Yeah.
Those
Those ones
are
are really good.
Those
so
are
cool.
crazy.
Yeah, I do love
It's,
those.
Yeah.
yeah, those are really cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Those are not allowed to be our favorite because we have our species up here. But
Yeah.
Well, so now that we are getting out of bat season for the
Mhm.
northern areas, is there a way people can connect with you during off season?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So we, um, even though bats are not active in our area, like in the off season, there is a lot of work that we still do in like the fall and into the winter,
Oh,
because
perfect.
um, the fall is when you plant trees, and that is
Good
like a
point.
big part of like what we advocate for and like help.
Nice.
We hold like volunteer events to plant trees in
Oh,
areas,
neat.
yeah, where we do like where we've how do I say, we work with organizations and like landowners and parks and stuff to create what we call like bat sanctuaries.
Oh,
and
nice.
and what we do is we um, develop a relationship with this particular place and provide materials for them to be able to put bat houses for supplemental habitat, to plant
Okay.
native trees, to plant native like flowering plants, to encourage like pollinators, to create forage habitat, to create roosting habitat. And those are things that we do in the fall.
Okay.
Um, and that's a lot of work to plant trees and move stuff around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like there's always like lots of like volunteer stuff that we do.
Right. Right.
And in addition to that, it it's like a lot to expect to people to be able to like come out and like dig a bunch of holes in the parks
Well,
and like, plant trees and stuff.
I guess it can
Um,
be. Yeah.
yeah, but we also it costs money to get a whole bunch of trees. So
yeah.
so like we have like different programs on our website that you can like donate to specifically,
Okay.
where you like have a one-time donation that can go to like a habitat restoration project, or to like an education program for like getting supplies and materials for those things.
Okay.
So we also do like webinars and stuff over the
Yeah.
winter,
Oh, nice.
because a good way to spend like cozy, chilly winter is to like do bat webinars and talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
all the stuff that we're going to be doing once bat season like starts up again. And that's usually when we start in the fall and in the summer, or the fall and the winter is
Right.
when we usually like build our like volunteer cohort for like all of the bat monitoring stuff that we're going to be doing
Okay.
for in the spring and summer and into the fall.
Also,
Um,
if you're an organization or you work at a school, a
yes,
corporate thing,
schools.
anything like that, and you have interest in having us come out, we love to give we give great presentations.
Yeah.
Like
Fantastic.
Yeah.
amazing presentations about bats. So we love going out during the winter and talking with classrooms, schools, park conservation groups,
Yeah.
whatever. So we're always popping up places to teach people about bats,
Yeah.
because we can do a lot of learning together without the bats present.
Hmm.
If people want to get in touch with you to book you for a
Yeah.
presentation or to get involved in something you're doing, how should they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I would go on our website,
Okay.
gothambatcon.org, or you can email either one of us directly. It's just our names, Ryan and Roxanne
And
at
Roxanne.
gothambatcon.org.
Right.
But yeah, go through our website. There's a contact form. You can find us there.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll put that in the post, you guys, too. So if you're looking to contact them, we'll have all that information for you.
We're on Instagram. I will say the DMs get a little bit crazy, so 50-50 that I see your DM. But so if you shoot us an email, fill out the contact form,
Yeah.
it's more guaranteed that you'll get in touch with us. But please do follow us over on Instagram. We're at
Okay.
Gotham Bat Con.
Okay. Awesome. And everybody, we'll try to keep you informed when they're having webinars also. We'll
Yeah.
advertise those on our Meetup Monday is when we list events going on. So stay tuned for that too.
Oh.
Excellent.
Well, geez, thank you guys so much for joining us. There's been a lot of good information. Really enjoyed talking to you.
Sorry,
Absolutely. We could talk about bats forever.
Sorry.
We appreciate that. We enjoy that very much.
Yeah, give us the ability to show a visual too, and we can go on forever.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. And thank you out there for joining us today. And we'll see you next month. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.